love talking to Jack about everything. This whole week, I have been sitting on this and thinking, what can I say? What stories? What anecdotes? There are so many silly things and so many great stories that he's told us about his time in San Francisco, about his plants, that, everything.
I absolutely adore Jack. He made me laugh, he made me cry. We had such a good time working on trivia night together.
Actually, Jack was the first one that I talked to, first person I talked to at ILM. The thing I remember is thinking, at least ILM's gonna be, I know it's gonna be a fun place to work, just after 10 minutes of talking to him.
Jack is really the reason I have the career I do today. He's the one who hired me when I applied for the roto and paint job.
He always had a great way about him. He made everyone feel at ease and comfortable, and just had the biggest heart in the world. And during trivia night, he always would come in at like 6 a.m. every single morning so that he could get all of his work done and still be able to have the opportunity to work on trivia night and volunteer his time for meetings and running around putting posters on up around campus.
I guess it came up that I like this kind of cinnamon roll that came on Wednesdays, and sometimes it would be gone because there were only a couple of them in the package. So after that, every Wednesday that it was pastry day, the cinnamon roll would be sitting on my desk wrapped in a paper towel. And that's just the kind of guy Jack was.
Some of my favorite memories of Jack are when, for quite a long time, I used to drive him home to the city when we worked at Kerner. And he told me a lot of incredible stories about his life and how he came to San Francisco and all the stuff he did, none of which I can repeat here.
So my family has a family home in Montana, and the first time we went to Montana with Jack, Miles was about 1.5 years old. Our house is at the end of a dirt road, and there's no garbage pickup at the house, so you have to drive to the end of the dirt road and dump the trash. So one day I asked Jack if he wanted to drive the truck down to the trash dump. We thought we were like so rebellious because Jack was driving without his driver's license. And then we got the genius idea to step it up a notch and drink really cheap beer while we were driving, because at that time, actually drinking and driving was legal in Montana. You could drink alcohol and drive down the freeway. So Miles was sitting in my lap, we were drinking beer. Jack didn't have his driver's license. He hadn't driven in like 15 years. And we were driving in Montana. But that's some of the happiest memories I have of Jack, just sitting next to him and making me laugh. And he was happy, he was driving.
Actually, I have a quick story. Actually, it's super short, but Jack and I made sausage together, and that in itself is just a really funny thought and memory, and I'm just gonna leave it at that.
So I didn't know Jack really well, but the thing about Jack is having him just around made the vibe of the place extra special. And when he retired, it just wasn't the same. And then when he came back, it really reinforced how much different it had been when he was gone. I think the closest word I can find is sparkle. It just made the place sparkle,
I have known Jack for about 10 years. The first movie I produced here at ILM was called Now You See Me, and I had a very tiny crew for a very long period of time. And one of the things that I needed Jack to do was to basically rotoscope the Queensboro Bridge, which may be the worst bridge to task someone with. And week after week we kept hammering away at it, and everything started to get a little bit more drawn out. And I think the last time we got a big round of notes from the client. It had to do with the roto of the bridge. And, it was at that point that I think Jack went in and announced his retirement from ILM. Yeah, it drove him out of here. Luckily, he came back.
So about 7 years ago, Jack said, Chooch, do you want to go to Paris with me for Christmas? And of course, I totally jumped at the chance. We got our tickets and we were getting ready to go, and Jack, one day we were hanging out and he's like, okay, there's just one thing that we have to get clear before we finalize our plans. And I was like, yeah, tell me what it is. He's like, okay, well, somebody's gonna fart at some point on this trip. Everybody farts. And everybody does their business. So we just need to get that out of the way. So we put on our red berets and we had a little picnic in our hotel room, and then we went downstairs to the lobby, and I was looking at magazines and he was on his computer. And after he had been on his computer for a couple minutes, he turned it around and there was our whole family on Skype, and sweet Jack had arranged ahead of time for everyone to be there because he knew that I was sad and missed them, even though I was having the best time with him. And I so love that about him, that he was always thinking of other people and how to make them happy. I don't want to be crying right now.
When the AIDS crisis hit, a very good friend of Jack's was stricken. When Jack saw him, he was clearly very, very ill. And immediately Jack walked up to him, put his arms around him and gave him a big hug. And his friend started sobbing in his arms and told Jack that since he had been diagnosed, no one had touched him or wanted to be near him. And, Jack just held him and let him sob. And to me, that's who Jack was. He was someone who, if he saw a friend who was in need of a hug, he wouldn't think about himself, he wouldn't think about fear. He would just want to bring them some love. And that's what he did for me. And I think he did that for a lot of people.
I realized that it all kind of came down to how much a part of everyone Jack is. Jack is our heart and always will be. I love you, Jack.
We miss you, Jack. We miss you, Jack. We love you.
I miss you, Jack.
Gonna miss you, Jack.
I miss you so much, Jack. I love you. Hope you're in a better place. All right, love you.